o'clock.
Mr. Falk, I'd like to call the Superior Planning and Zoning Commission to order. I'll stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Invocation. Dear Lord, please help this town keep moving along in a good and positive way as it has been under the people running the town and all the local citizens that are helping and help us keep improving. Amen. Roll call. Henry Munoz. Here. Present. Hank Gutierrez. Here. Sherry Fedor.
Here.
David Gunn. Here. Here. Jessica Garcia. Jessica Garcia absent. Joy Evelyn.
Here.
Here. Matt Shaw here. 6 of us are here, so we have a quorum. Consent agenda. Approval of June 6, 2019 regular agenda minutes.
We really have time to read through them all.
I did.
We just got our packets.
Online.
Oh. Do I have a computer that works?
Just have a question. Just reading the minutes from last week, it was stated that they didn't know where this map had come from in the minutes. Do we know where this map came from?
Yes, Svetlana made it.
Oh, she did? Okay, thank you.
questions on the minutes, June 6th?
I make a motion that
You have a quorum, you don't have to necessarily.
Oh, we don't have to wait, okay. Do I hear a motion approval of June 6th, 2019 minutes? Motion made by Hank Gutierrez to approve,
second.
seconded by Joy Evelyn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries to approval of, motion carries to approve June 6th, 2019 minutes, minus David Gunn. New business, public hearing discussion, possible approval of resolution 2019-04, a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Superior recommending that the Town Council approve the abandonment of roadway portion on Neary Avenue.
Commissioners, on the board, you have a map as well in your packet, but I put a map of the proposed abandonment. Above it is going to be turned into a cul-de-sac, and that cul-de-sac will be a hammerhead type. This does meet the fire code requirements for fire truck turnaround. So it will allow us to continue to use that segment of the park for the mining festival without having to change the core use of that section.
Did you say that was that going to change that, this is the hammerhead, was it going to be a hammerhead or?
It's a hammerhead, which is, this is what this is described as in the fire code, it's a hammerhead. In essence, it just means there's a turnout on the side to allow a fire truck to turn in. It has to have certain radiuses, which is why the radiuses are marked here on your plan.
Actually, that kind of looks like it follows the current, like entry, on the northwest side.
It does mostly, it was some, if you can see some of the rocks will have to be moved. In order to get the maximum space of the downtown, the rocks, it was, this turned out, it pushed as close to the fence as it could get. That means some of the rocks that are there, boulders on.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's the only one change.
Will the mining area where the mining competition, is any of that going to have to be taken?
No, it should have a slight radius turn-in. The turn-ins will be slightly larger, but not significant. It shouldn't affect the actual apparatus that are there right now. This is agendized as a public hearing, so if you would like to open it up to public comment.
Okay. Like call the public. Any homeowners have any questions or comments? Yeah, please.
Again, this first half will be discussing the abandonment, not the actual park plan. So first, just letting you know. The first half is the park plan, the abandonment of the street. The second half, we're going to be approving the park plan. Both can be discussed separately. If you would like to address both in your public comments, that's fine as well. If you come up to the stand, you can talk into the mic so we can hear you. Or I can bring the mic to you if you would prefer.
Are we talking about the wall or the?
Just the cul-de-sac road abandonment right now. And then the second half of the meeting will be on the building, the stage and the walls and everything.
Okay.
Could you please state your name first?
My name is Cecilia Delgado Lopez. I want to ask you, with the drainage, we've had this before. you know,
Commissioner T.
the drainage. When it rains, it goes down that street, you wouldn't believe the amount that runs through that. What I want to know is make sure it drains and it doesn't have to come up to the street. Not only that, with the rocks, the gravel comes in with the water. It seems like it's going straight on my side. When we start raining and all that, I want to make sure that it's the water is going to drain, goes through the drainage. I also want to know that with that wall, is it going to be affecting the way the water runs, or is it going to be built? Is the wall on the street or up in the grass? That's what I want to know.
Okay.
There's a very, very drainage with the water.
And would you like me to answer some of these questions?
Please.
The wall will not extend past the current sidewalk. It's going to where the sidewalk ends, it's going to end. The drainage is a 6-foot wide drainage channel. It's going to be a V channel that's going to be rip-wrapped with large diameter rocks. And if there's a problem with erosion, we will end up shotcreting that in, which means we'll make it so that it's got a bed of concrete. The engineers did review this and just decided this would be sufficient drainage. It shouldn't be a problem. The alternative will be drainage through the food court area, which isn't ideal, but right now you say our drainage is sufficient to take all the flow that goes across that. Engineers have stamped this set of plans, and reviewed and stamped them for being sufficient for that basic item. As far as extending out past the street, the wall will stay within the current street. It's not going past the current street at all. We're taking out that sidewalk. It's going to go out to where the sidewalk is now, and that's it.
It's going to drain with like ground into the drain.
You can see right here where the design is. This is a kind of a diversion grading. This is the drain itself. And I can make that a little easier to see on this plan. Here's the drainage to the side. This is the existing curb and gutter. There's going to be a drain ditch here. This is a conceptual plan. This isn't the scale or any of this one. This is just a facade, so you can see basically what it's going to look like. And then this is the front of the stage, the side of the stage right here. This is the back. The side towards the existing Message Park. This is the back that will be towards the street.
I have a question. If the water, she says is going toward her house, and this is on the other side, how is it going to catch that water and move it?
There's a 6-foot wall, or a 10-foot wall there. It diverts, it comes to that wall and it diverts it down. The existing channel on the existing street isn't being changed, but where it hits that wall, it's all being diverted down to the drainage channel. So her house is above that and should be affected by that. It's not changing the drainage up there at all. If you look at that street, it does grade slightly to one side, but where it gets up higher, it's crowned a little bit. So it does change down both sides of the street. But where it gets down to the park area, it slopes all in one direction. And that's why this makes sense, because the existing slope will direct that water down to that channel.
Then where will the water drain once it gets down to Main Street,
Same place it always has on the main street.
on the Main Street?
My only thing is this, when you get to the wall.
And I would agree that when we build it out, we will have to make sure that that grading's done appropriately so that it does direct it down to the creek.
You want to talk about the wall?
That's the next item for discussion. If you would like to address it now, perhaps the chairman will let you do that, so you don't have to stand up twice.
Yes, go ahead and address it, please. Please, go ahead.
Now, when I looked at the plan, that wall is gonna be 13 wide, right?
36.
Street width. Yeah, I think it's more closer to 30 feet, but I don't have the exact dimension in front of me. But
It's 36 by 14.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's actually a little bit longer because if you count the arch,
Yeah.
this stage is 36. 36 wide, 14 deep.
Most of our streets are 40 feet wide, so it's replacing the entire width of the street.
Okay, now you're gonna put the stage there. Is that stage going to go the 30 feet? Or is it gonna be smaller?
It's going to be the 30 feet.
Okay. Now, the height,
10 feet.
that 10 feet, I'm not happy about that. I've talked to my neighbors. I don't have a problem. The band stage having noise, the people, or whatever's going on downtown. I called my neighbors and I asked them if the 10-foot wall we were happy with it. No, everybody said no. It's too high. Personally, I like it lower. I sit on my front porch and I watch, believe it or not, enjoy the traffic, the people in the park. I love where I live. That's why we bought the house there. Not because my husband wanted to live there, but I wanted to live there. I love Main Street. That's why I bought the house there. It's not beautiful or brand new, but it's mine. And I bought that house because I love that location. Therefore, that 10-foot wall is beyond making me happy. It has to come down. I can live with a 6-foot wall. If that, because I like that. I like it. I've been there 40 years. I enjoy looking at my porch, watching all that activity. In the morning, I can see the cars, the people walking their dogs, people walking the old road. I love that Main Street. In the evening, I sit there with a cup of coffee, enjoy the evening, watching people at the park, the music. I love the people. That's why I bought that house. For you to put a 10-foot wall is beyond my imagination. I've been there too long. I enjoyed the people, the activity in town. I'm by myself now. I go to my porch. I watch everybody, the kids going down to the park. I love that place, And I really can't imagine you guys putting up, what, 10-foot wall. So think about it. It's too much to see. I don't go anywhere. I don't go anywhere. And everybody who knows me knows I spend all my time with my home. I come to town to visit, to buy my stuff for myself, my mother, go to the post office. When I'm done visiting her, giving her whatever she had to do, I go home. I love my home. And I can sit there in the porch on a nice, cool evening and enjoy the people in Main Street. I watch the cars cruising, the people at the park with their kids. I do a lot with my porch. I enjoy being, maybe I could see that, honestly, I'm a people watcher. That's my thing. You know, I watch the kids, I watch the people. So it's, that fault is not.
Sherry's got a question
Just
for
a
you.
quick question. I can certainly sympathize with you on people watching. I think it's wonderful. But the way the park is used now, and when the bands are in there, the noise doesn't bother you? Okay, so even with increased use, you think that lower wall would be enough?
I've been there over 40 years.
But there's, and
Not
there's
once.
a lot more
Not once,
activity recently.
not even once have I ever complained to the town hall for anything. Because I love the music, I love the people, I love even the minors, you know? I watch on my front porch, I watch the music doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother my neighbors because I've gone to their houses. And I ask my neighbors, they don't mind. They don't mind the music. They don't mind the people. Even though, you know, they enjoyed it. And I went up even further. I went where my street is, to the next one, and I asked the person if how she felt about the music with the noise and all that. She said, oh, we love it. And she sits on her front porch and watches it.
I just want to add a little bit here. Getting involved with the Pachelique mining competition back in 1989 for the next 15 years. Ms. Lopez here has been inconvenienced with noise, which would affect other people. The parking in front of her house, sometimes doing the competition, trying to get a car in and out there is a living hell, so to speak. But she, like she says, she has never once complained about the parking. Other people, you can park in front of their house and they're gonna raise a little bit of hell, but she has never once complained in the 15, 16 years that I've assisted the chamber with the mining competition. Everything she's telling you is true.
I have discussed it with the engineer. Says we can get it to about 7 feet as it sits. If we wanted it to be a 6-foot wall, which was what the request, we would have to lower the stage by a foot. But because the grade's there and that stage being higher than the rest of the area, that seems like a reasonable way to do it. So if the planning commission were to stipulate that and her approval, we would get that drawn out and do it that way. I would have no opposition to that. I would like to hear from the musicians who use it. I would like to hear from the other members of the public to see what they think about it. Sure.
Did they look at, because we always face the band toward the park. Did they look at that? Because it seems to work very well.
And then we did look at that. There were issues with the drainage and everything else because that is all the drainage goes through there. If you're making a fixed structure where the water would have to go around, that would create a problem. There's also issues that would be short distance to the stage. You couldn't have the large area seating that we were talking about, so getting more utilization is a goal. But also, the shade structure would work as well in that direction. But again, I'm not opposed to making changes, but it's that particular, it's also the kind of the core concept for the stage wall being there too, is because that is a sound wall, reflects sound into the park where it's supposed to be and not disturbing the neighbors. If you have evening events and you're disturbing the neighbors, keeping people awake, everybody gets very annoyed. I know we've heard from one resident who doesn't have a problem with that, but if there are other residents who do have a problem with that, I would like to hear from them.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just moved to that area. I rent there. I'm just like a house up from her house. And that wall it's going to be too high. I'm very much for what she was saying about it being about a 6-footer. So, you know, I think, you know, it being built that high, it's not a good idea. So I'm very much for what Sissy Delgado was saying. I think it'd be a better route that way. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Chairman, can I make a suggestion? Perhaps we could call for a vote on the first half of the,
Okay,
That was gonna be my recommendation.
okay. Close call to public on resolution 2019-04. Do I hear a motion?
do you want to speak on the road
I'm
abandonment?
sorry.
I'm sorry, I had some questions about the stage area.
Absolutely, we can discuss this. The road abandonment is what we're moving on, and then we're going to move on into the discussion of the actual design. Yeah?
Go for it.
Do I hear a motion for 2019-04 road abandonment?
Chairman, we have another member of the public who would like to speak.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
We'll have to close the public hearing.
Okay, I'm gonna open the public hearing back up for resolution 2019-04.
Well, are we still on the abandonment side?
Yes,
Are we,
we're discussing the abandonment right now. Do you want to address the abandonment issue?
It's not about the wall.
or the
It's
stage?
not about the wall, it's just about the property.
It's about something else.
It's not something else. It's
Oh,
not about the wall.
but you know, I was gonna say something about, there's other places that have more room now, like that place, you know. Frankly, you know, I think we're moving too fast here, you know? And there's like Head Start over there, something could be built there, that's a big area there. And out here in Newry, these people have lived there practically all their lives, you know? And it's gonna block the view, all those beautiful shops there. And I like to walk through there, you know, and that's gonna block it up. I think it's, I don't think it's a wise decision, really. And that's the way I feel. I believe there, but I'm supporting of her here, my daughter, you know. Not only that, a lot of people, because it is about people, you know. That's what it's all about.
And
And I thank you for letting me speak up, you know.
absolutely. And I would like to say that kind of the concept of this is a walkable downtown. You want to have a space where people feel comfortable hanging out, walking around, moving up and down your main street. And that's why building something on Main Street is such a core important issue. And this is not just Superior that's doing it. Every community in the state is looking to build up their downtown so that people want to walk up and down and use it as a recreational destination. So, you know, it will be still walkable. It will be an enjoyable walk through. You won't be able to drive your car through, but it's going to have more paths, and it's going to have shade structures, and it's going to have more shade trees. So it should be a pleasant place to hang out. We do have grant funding for this. This was developed as we've been working on the plan for this for over a year now, about a year and a half. It's been through several public review processes, through community development block grant. We had several public hearings on the park capital improvement plan, which discussed this and the other options for improvement. So we've been trying to move at a considered pace and try to take everyone's opinion into account. So I think this project, while we can make some adjustments, I do think it's a very positive project.
Got another question. Todd, did we notify the other property owners in the area of what was gonna take place? Because I noticed there's probably another 3 or 4 that live in the area, own property.
And live in the area as in where?
We're talking about, say, they've got the house listed right north of where the mining competition is to a Virginia Martinez.
Yes, that one is vacant, I believe.
There's a house.
There are only 2 occupied homes on that street, right?
Yeah, but that's where Martinez family was from.
Yeah, we did attempt to contact them and we received no response. So
No response at all. Okay, because that's George Martinez's sister, by the way. The other property would have been north of where Rosie Young lives. And you have Emmanuel Ortega that lives there, and there's the Villan family that lives there, that owns property there. I believe she's in a nursing care facility, either her or her husband. I don't know who's the trustees of their estate or the family. Were they notified in any sense?
Well, the walked up and down the streets, knocked on doors, tried to contact people. We did end up reaching out, getting 2 of the property owners aware of it. The third one, as far as I know, we never made contact.
The Ortega property was sold.
What was sold?
And the VRL, I think maybe a family member bought, is now, it's in somebody else's name.
Yeah, Stella and Henry's, the younger sisters.
I talked to Francine, Rosie Young's daughter, about you guys blocking the street and putting up that wall, all that. And to tell the truth, she went ballistic. Because nobody even tried to let her know, because she doesn't want that street blocked. So she's gonna talk to her brother, their co-owners. So, she wasn't happy. So she said, why did we wait till, why weren't they told? Or at least they tried to get a hold of her. And I told her, I didn't know about the wall of the road being closed until a week and a half. And Anthony went and he told me, and I would told him why, because he's just a streeter, crew. I said, and I told him, why are you here knocking on my door and telling me this? I said, why didn't the town manager knock on my door and tell me? In fact, you should have told me at least 2 weeks ago. And he said, I don't know. I told him, well, it should have been done. If it does right, you should have come and let me know at least 1 month, month and a half, so I can, have time to get used to that or fight it if the wall is too high. The thing is that nobody was told.
Right now, we're just working on road abandonment, not the wall. That's what we're discussing right
I
now.
know, but actually, from now, we're talking about that right now. But down the road, it's gonna end up with a wall.
We'll be discussing that on the next resolution.
Well, you're talking road abandonment, but the owners of the houses were not notified. So how can you continue with road abandonment?
Maybe Anthony can answer
Okay.
I lived here all my life. I don't know everybody in the town. I don't know everybody's families. I don't know everybody that lives or co-owners of properties. All I know is that I'm trying my best to try to notify everybody. If it's 1 day or 5 days or a month, I'm trying to make everybody aware of it so that everybody can understand what's going on. And it's kind of hard to know everybody's family. I don't know everybody's family, and I grew up here. So I'm trying my best to say, hey, this is what's gonna happen. It's for the betterment of the town. All the other structures and everything else can be worked around, but this is for the town's good. It wasn't really trying to ignore or try to be not forgiving or try not to address anybody's family or anything. It was just trying to do my best under the circumstances, saying, I don't know everybody. Everybody doesn't even know me, and I grew up in this town.
Couldn't tax records give you the owners of the property with addresses so that they can contact?
There's,
And I thought
again,
property tax-
I don't have all the computer and everything else available to me to do all that kind of things. So I'm doing the best under the circumstances of the town's availability of what I'm allowed. I'm just a street worker on the public works supervisor, so I do all these things under that apron of things that is going on, but I'm not trying to ignore anybody or trying to delete anybody in any way, shape, or form of that. I'm just doing the best I can under those circumstances.
The property, no, not always do the property tax list that, especially if a property, like if we've got a senior who's in a home or if the property's in flux and being sold, we may not have good addresses for them. Some of the properties don't have addresses on them at all. And I don't know in this specific case if that's what happened, I don't know. They did, like I said, they went up and down and knocked on doors several times trying to get a hold of people. If they're not there during the day, if nobody's living in the home, they didn't make contact. We did post it in the paper a few times. We had several public hearings trying to discuss the issue as well. Go ahead, Pam. Sorry.
I do think that a mailing should have gone out to the property owners. Whether it got to them or not, at least it would have been attempted to the address that is known. And I also think that possibly the property owners within that whole area there, like say from Lot to Kellner, should have been involved. Or at least know that these meetings were being held. And I go to a lot of meetings, but I must have missed a few of them. Because I went to a couple of the park meetings and there were no designs that were being discussed.
The abandonment and the expansion of the park was discussed.
Not the few I
Not
mentioned.
not specifics, but the abandonment was.
Well, the abandoned ones, yes.
Yes. There is, just to be clear, there was no posting requirement for this sort of abandonment. We tried to reach out to the property owners directly affected, but there isn't a requirement at all to post this.
Just on another note there, if I'm living in a property owner on the street and the city's closing my street and I'm the property owner and I've owned it for a long time, it's not that hard to find out who lives where here in this town. Mr. Huerta, if you're having problems accessing the computer, you can always contact staff, administration to look that up for you if you need any help. But all you have to do is ask around. I can tell you everybody that lives in that neighborhood and who they're related to or who you can get in contact within 5 minutes. It's not that hard. The only person I don't know is who owns Margaret Luster's property. That's the only one I don't know, but the others, and she just told me that they had sold Ortega's house. It's good to know and give the people advance notice, hey, we're gonna close this down, do you have any issues? Rather than somebody hitting me up on the street and saying, hey Henry, why did you close my street? Why did you vote on this? Those are my concerns.
I understand. Obviously, we have two property owners here. Everyone was made aware that if they were that concerned about it, they could be here. The concern that they didn't know about it isn't really relevant in that they're here and they know about it. And so we're talking about an abandonment that benefits everyone and is not in any way negative. So as far as I can tell, most of the property owners haven't raised an objection to abandonment either. They've raised an objection to a wall, which is an item we can discuss.
Anthony? you have something else to say?
Now, again, it was the town's decision to close town property. It's not really, not my decision. It was something that I'm just trying to help get along past that issue. Because the town has the right without
Exactly.
everybody's questioning or saying they have a right to know. Hey, everybody was known that we have a right to abandon.
Could more time be given to try to find the other property owners? Especially Pam knows who bought Ortega's house, and Cecilia knows Rosie's children, and maybe it would give them time to write a letter or something and give you their opinion as to how they feel.
Well, the one that, Mother Ortega's house, and I guess that's where you're renting.
Yeah, is that Ortega's? Yeah.
The owner knows that, because I told him, I had it listed for a period of time, and I told him that the street was gonna be closed. I didn't know the exact design, but I told him the street was gonna be closed. I was gonna get one.
You can say it.
Hank?
I want to go back a little bit, just for a point of clarification and for the record. What you said earlier, Todd, was there's not a requirement for notification for abandonment. So we're not talking about stage, we're just talking abandonment, right?
Right, and to be design review, there's no, we're just trying to communicate with people in the public, the whole point of this meeting. There's no requirement for design review on this part either. We're doing it because we want the public to have a chance to say their piece and to be involved in the process. It's not going to be built for several months, there's time to make changes. But again, the whole process, the whole point here is to communicate with the public, to give them a chance to have their say. There's a reason we're holding this hearing, not because it's a code requirement in any way, shape, or form. This is just the town trying to communicate as best we can what we want to do.
Anything else?
Are you still in public, sir?
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, I'm gonna call the public, I'm gonna call the public for resolution 2019-04.
I make a motion on resolution number 2019-04, that we abandon, as described, that particular area on Neary.
Do I hear a second? Seconded by Sherry Fedor. Okay. Henry Munoz, how do you vote on 2019-04?
I'm voting no, just on the mere fact that the property owners don't know what's coming, and only for that reason. I don't have any problems with the project. It's a real good project. As a matter of fact, this project came up like 30 years ago in trying to implement it. And it's a real good project, but just the mere fact that a couple of 2 or 3 property owners don't know what's going on, I'm gonna have to vote no.
Okay, thank you. Hank Gutierrez?
Aye.
Yes from Hank, no from Henry Munoz, yes from Hank Gutierrez. Sherry Fedor?
Yes.
Yes vote from Sherry Fedor. David Gunn?
Yes.
Yes vote from David Gunn. Joy Evelyn?
Yes.
Yes vote from Joy Evelyn, and a yes vote from Matt Mashaw. Motion carries to approve resolution 2019-04. Okay, new business, number 2, public hearing, discussion, possible approval, resolution 2019-05, a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Superior recommending the Town Council approves the Vestige Park improvements and improvement plan.
Okay, I've listened a little bit here. I don't think anybody has any specific issues with the project itself. It's the height of the wall, maybe some drainage issues, and possibly some traffic issues. I haven't heard that, but that's in the back of my mind, maybe some traffic issues. I'm thinking that the design process here should include citizens and give them a chance to provide their input. we can say we approve this design concept, but I'm sure there will be some changes from now until when it gets built, so those changes should include citizenry.
Ms. Lopez has met with our engineer and with me to discuss the issue. And we're open to lowering the wall height. Again, we would have to change a few design features, such as lowering the stage by a foot. Then we could get down to the 6 foot that Jason said would be acceptable, minimally acceptable for her. I'm not opposed to that. If you would like to place that as a stipulation on the design review, I'm fine with that as well.
Kind of off track here, just for the record again. This P&Z meeting is being held on July 3rd, as opposed to its regularly scheduled timeframe that would have fallen on tomorrow, July 4th. And the reason for that change was basically because of the holiday and the upcoming council meeting. So I kind of got the feeling this issue or this consideration has some time-sensitive issues to it. Is it tied to funding? Is there a drop dead date? Those type of things.
It is tied to funding. It's community development block grant funding. We had, at the end of the plan process, we had another 19 months. That's gone 6 months. We've got about a year to build this out. And we're building it ourselves. We can't afford contractors, so we're going to need all of that year to get it done.
Okay, where are we in that time frame? You said 16 months?
We're about a year left.
Got a year left. And what's the estimated construction timeline?
6 months to a year.
That's construction?
Yeah.
Oh,
Could be less than that, but our crews cannot devote all of their time to it. They have to build potholes and dig graves and do a bunch of other things at the same time. So they're not going to be able to spend all of their time on the park. It could theoretically be built out as little as 2 months, but that would assume that we have a crew to spend 2 months on the park, and that is done.
well, I did have a discussion with the engineer regarding the drainage because I thought that was an issue myself. Originally, on the original design draft, I thought that wall, they call it a sound wall. In reality, I thought it was a 6 foot. It was like there was 2 different types of walls there. And after we clarified it with Anthony and the engineer, I kind of understood that process. But on the drainage, my recommendation was to really seriously look at doing exactly what was brought up earlier about having that stage face west, east as opposed to south. And after a lot of discussion with Anthony and the engineer, it became a lot more clear to me that even though I don't like it because I'm kind of used to what the stage was before, that from a design view of what the overall project was going to look like, I think they twisted my arm, but not really. But I kind of bought into that. For the record, the stage on the design is not 30 feet, it's 36 by 14. I think 30 feet was brought up. And I appreciate the fact that we have the neighbors here. It's just like when we think about lowering the wall, I think the design is, and the height of the stage and the drainage and actually the stage and seating area. That's taken, what we're trying to do is maximize the use of Vestige Park and tying it into the museum and making it a focal point for our downtown, not only for the community, but for our winter visitors, and hopefully to generate business attraction, kind of fill in the area where there's not very much going on between Lab and Kelmer. We need to get those buildings used, and I think, as you see with the food court, because there was no real thought to it, we had to come back and redo the whole thing because it was not functional. We start talking about lowering walls on a performance stage. And I've been around a lot of events. The size of the wall, I kind of prefer the 10-foot wall. I mean, a 12-foot wall. I think that's what we started off with. Just to do it as a sound, not only sound abatement going north, but sound abatement going south. any lower than that, it kind of will reduce the effect of what that stage is intended to do as an entertainment location. And I'm very sensitive to what the neighbors are saying here. But when you look at it overall, I kind of look at it because most of the people I've talked to, matter of fact, all the people that I've talked to until today, they all support this project. And I think it comes down to fine tuning it as to what the stage, from not necessarily the conceptual design, but the little added value components, which I kind of have some issues with, not issues with, but not concerns, but recommendations that may be folded into that. I'm very sensitive to what you're saying. I don't think 10 foot is gonna, I understand sitting on the porch, but the impact of that and the value added to your property, the fact that it's gonna enhance our park, we can have more people down there. It's gonna be, I think, a lot more inviting. It's gonna get a lot more usage as you see now with the food court. You're gonna have many, many opportunities. Those neighbors, the ones that are living on there, we have a lot more opportunities to enjoy our downtown. Because that's what we're trying to do here. And, I support this. I support the way it's currently designed. Unless we need to look at it further. But reducing that wall size, maybe even from a structural point of view, to support the pergola at the height that is required and provide shade, and the things that the design, and actually myself and others, and Anthony and the engineers came up with, I think, and actually they actually gone beyond what I originally thought. So if you look at the food court, and you look at what we're doing here, it's going to be a magnet, and we're going to have more people down there. And I know there's a sacrifice. There's a little sacrifice between a higher wall or lower wall. But at the end of the day, we cannot make the mistake we did with the food court in compromising on what it should be as opposed to what we'd like it to be. And I know it's an inconvenience to some people, but I look at it from being a performance stage.
Henry? I just want to elude, like I said earlier, all the years that Mrs. Lopez has put up with the community, with the noise, with the littering, okay? With the parking that's taken place. I think we owe it to her. She has been a good neighbor to Main Street, and I think we should be able to bend a little bit to accommodate her, Not accommodate somebody else that comes in from out of town to enjoy our community, but she's here, they're gonna leave. She's the one that's gonna go out there and sit in her front porch and enjoy the scenery. She's been here, like she stated, over 40 years. She's lived at that location. She's paid her dues, She's put up with our BS, so to speak. But she's been a good neighbor, and I think we owe it to her. I can't compare myself to her because I live way on the other side of town. She enjoys her peace, and we all enjoy our peace in our homes. So I think we should give her credit, and we should look into the issue, possibly lowering it down so she can continue to live in her house in peace and harmony.
Another thing the engineer looked at, she ran the grades in the area. Ms. Lopez's house is 4 feet higher than the stage itself, or where the stage is going to be situated. Lowering it to 6 feet means it would be level about with the bottom of her porch. She'd be able to look over it. Again, I'm not opposed to that in any way, shape, or form. I would like to hear from Steve, as one of the musicians who's going to be using it more than anyone else, if that's a problem, if that's going to affect the usability of the stage.
Before we go there, I want to address what Mr. Reynoso mentioned about people coming from the outside. I disagree with that. What's going to happen here is our community is going to get more mileage off of this. This is not for the Apache League or Prickly Pear or Home Tour. This is to give a venue to allow our citizens the opportunity to enjoy the park. As a matter of fact, you see a little bit about that now with Second Fridays. If you go down on Second Fridays, you can see how it's become a magnet, and most of that is local community. I don't see this as a benefit for tourism. That's an added component. But at the end of the day, this park is going to be utilized at least 50% more. That would be my guess, more than it's being used right now because of its design and the amenities that it's gonna have. Nothing, not really from the outside, so that's where I don't wanna, I approach it more from the community more than tourism, because I see the result of Second Fridays and what we've been doing down there to enhance or have activities for our community on a monthly basis. But I think this utilization will be maybe slightly less in the summer, but a lot more during the fall when the weather's nice. More concerts, you know, we're gonna have to book that out, and there'll be a lot of activity. Now, it's not just gonna be 1 or 2, 3 times in a year.
I would like to say that tourism is not an evil. Tourism means if you have out-of-towners coming in and using your facilities, they're spending money in your stores and your restaurants, you're creating sales tax. That sales tax is what we use to fill the potholes, to keep the transfer station running, all the things, the fire department, everything else, that helps support it. Last year, the throughput on the Bob Jones Museum was up 43% because everybody's been promoting tourism in our community. That has meant that our revenues this year came in at 118% of projection, which gives us more money to spend more money on potholes, which is what we've been doing right now. So all of these things are interlinked. We need people to spend money in our town, not just what we can afford to fix ourselves. We need people to bring in their money, give it to us, so we can spend it to fix it. And that's what tourism is about. That's what the ecotourism is about. It's what making a walkable downtown is about. Yes, we want our locals to come out more and use these events as well. But tourism is not a bad thing. Tourism, these people come, they use our downtown facilities, they leave, and they leave their money.
I would like to know how many that sit on the council would like to look at a 10-foot wall on one side of your, take up your view with a 10-foot wall. She's willing to give up and say 6 foot. Now, I've seen 10-foot walls because I live in the valley, so I know in certain places they use them for abatement, for the noise. But she and the neighbors that she has talked to, they weren't happy about the wall, but they were willing that if a wall was to be built, they did not want a 10-foot wall. Every single person that she spoke to said they did not want a 10-foot wall. And I don't know how many of you would like to see a 10-foot wall, but if I go into a community, I think I like to look at the community also as an outsider. And I don't think a 10-foot wall right on Main Street is very attractive.
Another alternative that Ms. Lopez and I discussed was the possibility of an open wall above where it is, so that at least wasn't a blocking wall. I don't know if that would serve any of the purpose of putting it up, but that's something for the people who are designing these parks to consider.
I don't know anything about how the sound would work, but if you did a 6-foot or 7-foot wall and then you did posts to hold the pergola higher, that could work, but I don't know what it would do to the sound.
You still have a 10-foot wall.
Well,
But you can
But
see
it's
the
open. That's the whole idea, is that you can see it's open. It doesn't make you feel like you're in a prison with a concrete wall that's 10 foot tall. There's a big difference, and there's a huge difference to her. She thinks it's important. She says 6 foot is good. If you want to put open fencing above that, if you want to do like your diagram shows, where it's a 6 and 2 or a 6 and 1, where the 1 and the 2 are open fencing, that is more livable, but a solid 10-foot wall is not attractive to her, no.
And I would say that you're putting the wall up with the posts. If we decide later that the neighbors are all complaining because of the noise and it's not working, we can readdress it later. But just, I don't see a problem with doing it now unless the band tells me that it doesn't work. But throw an open pergola right now, right? So or open the gazebo. So I don't think it's going to affect their ability to play music. I think that if it still has the lighting, it still has the electrical, it still has at least some dampening because it will be 4 feet above the stage at least. I think it does, it's a compromise, and I'm not against a compromise.
Does that compromise, if it was lowered, Anthony, since the engineer's out here, does that compromise the structural integrity of the pergola cover?
I don't know, not, most of the height was due for mostly sound and noise traveling north. To me, I'm not opposed to any height whatsoever, but again, the band and everybody else, that was a suggestion, so we kind of followed that footpath. But my opinion is I could build it regardless of the height, the wall of the height.
So what's the construction composed of on the wall itself? What is it masonry
It's gonna be masonry.
and
And
reinforced?
it's not gonna be just plain masonry though, because we're gonna turn around and put like a stone
Yeah,
facade on it so that it has a little bit more of a
Yeah.
beauty look to it. It's not gonna look like just a
I
plain
guess my
block
question is
wall.
not from a visual, but from a structural. Can that wall be built, let's say hypothetically, to a amenable height, but constructed in a manner that if it becomes an issue, it needs to be higher, could it be made higher?
Yeah, it'll be a post and beam where I can build around it.
Post and beam, what does that mean?
Yeah, 2 posts, and there's gonna be a beam across it at height, and you can put the block in between all the posts and the beam across.
How high is the pergola gonna be? Because it's gonna be, is it a match point of the height from the stage? Is
It's
it
gonna be
below?
a match point of 10 feet average.
Okay,
It's
so.
not gonna be completely average all the way
I know,
across.
because there's a grade. At the end of the day, there's still gonna be a visual obstruction, even if the stage is lower.
Correct.
Because to meet that height requirement you're looking for, right?
You need 10 feet so you can get the proper shade, visual effects, and everything.
So what's the length of that 10-foot covered area that's gonna be 10 feet high?
34 feet.
34 feet at 10 foot high.
That's the width.
I mean, I'm not talking about the stage. I'm talking about the
The
covered.
whole structure is 34 by 10 feet.
Well, and it's,
And
the actual length of the structure is the entire length of the
I'm
street.
talking about not the stage. I'm not talking about the stage. I'm talking about where the pergola is gonna be
The
going.
complete area is approximately 100 feet.
So it's gonna be more or less just under 100 feet, 10-foot structure from Main Street up to a certain point relative to the stage at 10 feet. So there's gonna still, visual lines are still gonna be an issue
Correct.
from the neighbors.
The neighbors aren't raising that objection.
I know, but they're not, because maybe they're not looking at it as a whole, they're looking at it as a component. But there's other components to this that are still 10 feet high.
Let me ask you, Hank, would you rather look at a wall that is 6 foot high with a pergola over it, where you have some opening where it makes you feel like you're open? Or would you rather have a 10-foot solid? And let's take your house, for instance. Would you rather have a 6-foot wall with an opening so that you can look out? Even you are going to have some obstruction, but visually you don't feel claustrophobic? Or would you rather have a 10-foot solid wall?
Well, I have a 12-foot wall on my east side, from ground, 12-foot wall.
Well,
That's what I look
I
at.
can tell you that when I left.
And the answer to your question would be,
And I moved to the valley, I can tell you that I felt like a caged animal because I had to
Totally
look
agree.
at the walls.
and the answer to your question is, no, I would not. But that's not my job. I'm not here to address how I would feel. I look at this, I approach this from a community point of view. It's not about me, it's not about these 7 people sitting up here. It's what's good for our community as a whole. And what's gonna help us grow our community to what we all hope for, a nice place to live. And
And
sometimes,
the neighbors that are joining that, do they not count?
what's that?
And the neighbors that are.
Oh,
do
absolutely,
they not count?
absolutely. That's what I'm telling you. I don't discount the neighbors, but I also, you have to weigh it between the community as a whole as to legitimate concerns that neighbors have. Absolutely.
And it would also save you some money not to have a 10-foot wall.
Oh, I don't think it's a money issue, to tell you the truth.
Well, it's good to have savings because this project is pushing the budget.
Well, then it is a money issue then.
Steve, you have something to say? I know you've been waiting a while.
Yes, sir. Well, I have, first I have some questions.
Could I get you to come up to the mic, please?
You have to turn those on, Steve.
You have to turn the
I
mic
get
on.
click the button.
It's on, don't worry. You just have to speak into it.
Hello out there. My name is Steve Holmquist. I reside at 231 North Manigat, Superior, Arizona. My questions concern the stage and the wall. First, from ground level, how tall is the stage as it's written in the plan?
From ground level, the stage is at the back end, or if you're talking the stage itself or the wall?
The stage itself,
Stage itself is, I believe, 36 inches
from ground level.
from ground level.
Okay. And the wall is, we're talking about, in the plan as it exists, a 10-foot wall,
Yeah.
and that is measured from ground level?
Yeah.
From ground level, okay. So if you're
There is
standing,
a slope there of about a foot, but yes, so it'd be about 11 foot.
so if you're standing on the stage at 3 feet and the wall is 10 feet, and I'm almost 6 feet, the top of the wall would be about right here.
Yeah.
And the depth of the stage is how much?
14.
14 feet, okay. I would say that, and I completely sympathize with the homeowners and their feelings about what this may or may not look like. I do suspect that when this park project is finished, even though the wall might be taller than what you would like it, I suspect it's going to be a very beautifully finished project, and it'll be something that I think everyone will hopefully be proud of. But I would say this also, acoustically, if the purpose of the stage, if you're going to use it musically, and you want to entertain, you want to have bands up there playing entertainment, I don't think acoustically anything less than what's on the plan would really work. You need something tall enough for the sound to bounce off of, especially like if you've got a drum set, for example, up there. The higher the wall is, the more resonant the sound comes out. So it's not so much for a musician's point of view, it's not so much for blocking the sound behind you as it is to be able to project the sound in front of you. An example of what I'm talking about is we play music in the park, and if you come to listen to music in the park where there's basically nothing behind us, and last Saturday the same people played at the Pharmacy with a solid stage wall behind us, you can hear a big difference. There's a huge difference in the quality of the sound. So if that, in fact, is something that you are, if the reason for the wall partially is for the sound, for entertainment, I don't see how you could do it with any less than that. In fact, if you kept the wall at the same height, I would even consider maybe lowering the stage down a foot anyway, and still keep the 10 foot.
You know,
That's just my 2 cents.
actually, I was going to bring up that comparison between music in the park and what I listened to at the pharmacy. It was like I was listening to a whole different group.
Absolutely, it makes that much difference.
Yeah, but beyond that, you know, and I kind of thought about this later on, and I don't know if this would be suitable, but looking in from the front looking towards the stage, you're looking at looking from a visual stage, you're actually looking at a 7-foot wall from the current stage, looking north. On the backside, where the neighbors are at, it's a 10-foot wall. Now, Anthony, I can't commit to this, but I think that the size of that wall, the width and all that, actually offers an opportunity for a really nice mural. And maybe it could be, when it's being built, it could be prepped for a mural in the future, as opposed to doing it right then and there, because we're going to have a blank canvas that would also enhance the visual sightline coming from the neighbors looking south. It would be inviting. It doesn't really take away the 10-foot, but that's something we could look at in the future, having a canvas. And I think that's a perfect opportunity to display what visual arts, our cultural heritage within Superior. And that will be a focal point looking from the north, looking south as people walk into the stage area. So that's an enhancement that's not part of this project, but you look at it as a blank canvas, and I know that Rebuild Superior is looking at other opportunities for artwork that takes grant funding. But hopefully, maybe when the design, if it stays at 10 or whatever, that we look at maybe looking at prepping that side that would be amenable to artwork.
I have one more question, and that is the proposed wall straight, or is there a curve?
There's a camber to it.
There's a curve. And here's what it looks like. There's with the pergola. You can see the curved wall on the back side. Right here. There's the curved back wall.
There's camber to it.
And then it does, we can lower the stage. That's definitely an option because the grade runs this direction. It actually decreases as it goes towards Main Street. So this is actually several feet higher, 3 or 4 feet higher than the street itself out here. Another thing to consider is that this house is actually 4 feet, these are grade lines here, actually 4 feet higher than the stage. And then when they're sitting on their porch, they're probably 4 or 5 feet above the grade line. So if they're looking at a 10-foot wall downhill from them, and they'll look, it's still going to be a big wall, but it's going to be about 4 feet into their sight line. If they're standing up, they'll be able to see over the 10-foot wall. At a 6-foot wall, it wouldn't be in their sight line.
So based on that, you're saying that, and I guess to help the audience and ourselves, if you're standing ground level or sitting on the ground, it's a 10-foot wall. As you move north, it becomes a 9-foot wall, 8-foot wall. I'm talking from sight lines.
Yeah.
Not the physical height, but visual sight lines. You have to kind of be creative in your mind on your eyes' point of view. So if the property is, you say 4 feet above the sight, so in reality, what would you say was the sight line was a 6-foot wall?
A 6-foot, if you're got a 2-foot porch, I don't know how tall is your porch, about 2 feet, you've got a 4-foot grade, it's a 6-foot difference. So if the wall's 10-foot difference, it's about 4 feet into their sight line with a 10-foot wall.
Okay. So basically, we're talking about 4 feet from a visual sight line
Yes.
to Main Street.
From the closest house.
From the closest house. The other one's 7 feet, and then I'm assuming they have a porch, so they're probably looking over it already.
Yes, ma'am.
What I might suggest is, to allay their concern, you're saying it really shouldn't be an issue. Anthony might make an appointment with Cecilia and show her where the height would be.
That's still kind of hard to do because even if you put a string or some kind of visual, it kind of misinterprets a wall. Because you can put a line and you're still not seeing the whole actual perception of a wall in place.
I understand that, but I think it might give her enough information that maybe it would.
I don't have a problem with that at all. I'll do whatever it takes.
But I think, I
It is a good
also,
suggestion if you can kind of interpret a wall instead of just a stream.
You know, you can get a surveyor's pole also. You get it and extend it, or put across the T on the top, and just run it down and show her, Miss Lopez here, hey, this is what's gonna, the wall's gonna look at 10 feet. This is what's gonna look at 9, moving down as you go from east to west. And that way she'll have a visual perception, like Pam says, of what it's gonna look like.
I mean, it's an option. We've got time between now and council to make an appointment and do that with her. If that doesn't work and she's still objecting when it goes before council, I think the designer and the engineer could be inventive. Even if there is an opening, and I don't understand if there's a solid ceiling over the stage or not.
The difference will be that, everybody's seen the pergola at the difference over the stage itself, it's going to have no gaps between the hatch channel. But on the rest of it, it's going to have gaps. Just for the 14 feet of the stage, it's going to be completely staged.
And for sound.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think that the designer or the engineer could be inventive, and when it's being used, like for Apache Leap days, even if there's a block wall and there's maybe 2 foot of posts, and then you've got a ceiling, you can fill in those areas above that wall for the period that we need it. Okay? It's possible. It can be done. That's all I'm going to say about that. I do understand not wanting to use contractors and saving money. We all like to do that. I've talked to Tony Quas with Canal County Building and Safety, and he has told me 3 or 4 times, because we've had this conversation a few different times over probably the last 10 years. He has told me he doesn't care if a contractor builds it, or if it's an owner building it, or even if it's a handyman building it. As long as they get the drawings, they get the permits, Canal County looks at it, and they make sure it's done right. That's all Tony is interested in, that it's done right. I understand the town has a cost issue. So do the other property owners on Main Street. But we're not allowed to not use contractors, although some people are. But when I was doing building on Main Street, or actually it was Magnet Avenue, but it was commercial, I had to get the drawings, I had to get the permits, I had to get an engineer, and I had to pay a contractor. I was not happy with the cost of that either. So if the town of Superior is not going to do it, then maybe they need to reconsider requiring private people having to do it and paying that cost. Tony says he will work with people, he'll make sure it's done right. That's all he cares about.
To address some of those issues raised, we are going to be getting, these are engineered stamp plans. We're getting all our permits. The Public Works Supervisor in our town code has the ability to construct town facilities.
He's a contractor, he has ability, but so do other people working in the area.
Right, it's a permitting issue. We can get a permit that other town corporate entities can't. But it's a park, and these are shade structures, they're not structures, they're not buildings. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, my name is Beto Cervantes, and I have been involved in the Message Park, as you know. I want to compromise with Celia here. What can we do to give her a view and from that park. Right now, she's looking west from her park. Can we wrap that porch around her house, someplace here, she can sit right there on her porch and look at the park that way or this way? We need to be creative here. We don't need for her to see that wall all the time right there. Whereas if she was sitting over here on this side of her house, she could have a good look to the park. Would that be something that you would consider doing, Cecilia? I mean, if that porch was wrapped around and you could walk around and sit right here where you could see the park from this point of view, instead of just sitting in your porch and you're looking that way and you're going to look at the wall, right? But if you're sitting over here, you're going to have a good view of the wall, of the park and the people passing by and everything. If we build you a porch around where you could sit and look at the park and look at the activities and look at the people walking around, would that be something that you would be considered? We, as volunteers, could, huh? I don't know, I'm just throwing something out. Because we need that 10-foot wall. I don't care how we see it. We need that 10-foot wall. Because this is not going to work with a 6-foot wall. If that stage is 3 feet and that 6-foot wall, we're only going to have 3 feet. The musicians are going to have 3 feet. They're going to fall back. There's not going to be nothing there. But if we build you a porch that you can sit and have your view, you say you enjoy looking at people, you can, instead of sitting in front of the house, you're going to be sitting in the side of your house and looking this way.
And you're talking about high.
Sure, right there, and not high enough so she could see it. Exactly.
And I would like to just to mention, I think it's a very honorable solution. I would say, however, the town, this Arizona State Constitution says that cities and towns cannot give gifts to individuals or nonprofit organizations.
Okay.
So the town can't be involved.
Okay,
But I understand volunteers.
All right, okay. Now, where we're going to get the money? I don't know, okay? But this is a solution to a problem, And I know that we can raise money. I've raised a lot of money in this community, man. And I know that if I go shake the bushes, I'll build a porch on this side of the house with volunteers and material that we can raise money. We can have events and say, hey, we need a couple of $1,000 worth of material to build a porch here. Would that be something that you would consider doing?
I think you're asking her, you're throwing this at her like just right now, and it's a nice idea.
It's an idea.
But
not
can this matter be tabled for another day when she doesn't have time to digest it and see if other people come up with other ideas that can be not only to her but also to the neighborhood? Because the neighbors that she's talked to do not want the 10-foot wall.
Without them, like Mr. Gutierrez up there is saying, we need to think about the community as a whole, not just because of one people or two people that this project is going to go down, but we're going to settle for something that it's not going to work. A 6-foot wall is not going to work. It's not going to work. No matter how we cut it. Actually, I wanted a 12-foot wall, but and it's not going to be a straight wall. It's going to be a contoured wall. Okay, it's going to have a contoured, but a 6-foot wall is not going to make it. What we need to do is take you into consideration and say, hey, what can we do for you to make you happy?
So maybe tabling this matter for another time.
This is not in concrete. This is just an idea that I have, maybe for a solution for Cecilia to me. Can we do something to appease you? Okay? Can we wrap that porch around? That's all I'm saying. That's something that we need to consider. if she's.
Yes, okay. But we're still in the planning stages, so
Exactly,
everything gets
exactly.
changed. And appreciate the offer though.
Okay.
Just to be clear, design review plans quite often do not match exactly what's built. I mean, when you get into real world conditions, you have to make adjustments. So this is just a design review. It's not, yes, we have a set of plans, a stamped set of plans that we're going to move forward on, but design review doesn't necessarily consider individual design elements so much. It's the design, does it fit the aesthetic of the town? Are there specific items that are objectionable? So, yeah, if we want to make changes later, we can absolutely make changes. And I love the idea of the porch, but I don't know if it's practical in this situation because we can't guarantee it. If I can't guarantee it, I would hate to make it part of any stipulations. It would be, it's great for the members of the public to consider doing that, and I would be happy to swing a hammer, but we can't guarantee this.
How about this? How about, something that can be like, sort of, I'm thinking sort of along the Pam's, where when you're having these big events, you can put a backdrop, but when you're not having that, take it down so that there's still a view for her to look at. And I mean, there's all kinds of different backdrops.
And I,
That could be tall enough or made so that there, whatever it takes, if you want to go up that high to the 10 foot, where it can be put on something so that it can be up high or something.
A removable.
Exactly. But the rest of the time, just take it down so that the neighbors can still go ahead and enjoy that.
I'm not opposed to that. I'm sure it would take some research because I don't know, I'm not a musician. I don't know what a proper sound reflective barrier looks like. But I think between now and the council meeting, there's enough time for me to develop that and to come up with some solutions. And we're not going anywhere, and you guys know where my office is. So you can come in and I can research some things and show them to you and we can talk about it. I'm absolutely there with you, and I'm open to finding solutions. I think that we say that we need what's come out of this meeting to my mind is that we need a 10-foot barrier. If it's a temporary 10-foot barrier, if we can come up with a solution to that, that may solve the issue. And like I said, we've got a week to do that. So I will do that research if the board directs me to do so.
We still
We're still on public. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to call the public. Any questions from the board?
make a motion.
Okay, motion made by Hank.
I make a motion that we accept resolution number 201905 based on the current design. And once we go forward, I'd like to have comments after this, before we take the vote.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Joy. Any comments?
My comment is that I understand, I'm sensitive to the neighbors, but if you look real closely at the design, there's going to be 10-foot visual obstruction no matter where you're at. With the pergola, the height, the stadium seating that's going to be involved there. It's not just the stage we're dealing with. You're only looking at it from one aspect. So that's why I support this. I know it's time sensitive for a lot of different reasons because I've been around in this community long enough to understand we start tabling things and things don't get done. And then we get into time constraints on funding from the funding mechanism. We don't know what kind of roadblocks we're going to come across. We cannot afford to delay this project. Otherwise, the funding might go somewhere else. That's the way it's going to look. I understand. I'm sensitive to you, but I'm looking at it from a community as a whole. I'm looking at it how sometimes we as a community want to delay things because there's some unknowns. Hey, I can't tell you how many times I've sat here in these meetings and there's no one here. And you know what? It's like I told the last group, be engaged with our community. Be engaged. Come to our council meetings. Come to these planning and zoning meetings. Read the Superior Sun. Don't wait for somebody to come and knock on your door. A lot of changes are happening. This is not the only change that's coming. And we need input from our community. But we can't start tabling things because people come into the table. It's important. I want input from the community, but I also want progress and no delays. If we delay, we lose. We don't want to lose as a community. We can address some of these, I like Beto's idea, matter of fact, I thought about that, but that's a private thing, and that's a possibility. A mural is a possibility. That's why I support this, and this is why I made the motion to support this.
Anybody else?
I have a comment, Matt. I'm all for this project myself. My concerns, I have lived here all my life, 64 years. My concerns is that the people that live in this community, we have to take care of our people in our community. The people that do come to the meetings, when they realize that there's something affecting their property, they will show up. If you don't live there and it doesn't affect you, you're not going to come to the project. I think that we can move in the right direction. We can work with Ms. Lopez there. We can find the right wall height. We're not hosting Woodstock here in our bandstand. This is a one-night event that comes in, or maybe a two-night event. It's not to where the acoustics has to be like a recording studio. The part about a removable sound barrier in the back, that sounds great. There's nothing better than that I can see. We have an engineer now. She can design something that can be taken down to where we can meet Ms. Lopez's demands. We can meet the demands of the acoustics that's needed, whether we're going to be a recording studio or not. But to say that we don't care about tourism, no. When I was on the council, we didn't have anything. That's all we depended on was tourism. Yes, we wanted to get people back into town, to stop by, to visit our shops. You know, that was the main goal of the community, and it is always going to be the main of the community. But what we have to do, we have to look at the best interests of our people and how it directly affects them. There's a saying, the person that sits closest to the campfire is going to get burned. The person 20 rows in the back is not going to get burned unless you're up in the front. I've always said if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. We're not in such a rush mode that this has to be done or there's any limits. Have we discussed CDBG? We're talking about Bacon Davis wages on it yet? I don't know if that's been brought up, but there's a lot more to do. But if we're rushing into something, and it's a great project, I'm not saying it's not. We thought about this 30 years ago. That was the plan that we had envisioned. It's coming into fruit now, but we can take our time and knock this project off.
And to answer the Davis-Bacon wage thing, CDGB specifically likes you to use your own people, so they don't require Davis-Bacon if you're using your own staff.
That's a good point that Mr. Munoz made. They've been talking about this for 30 years. That's exactly, did you hear that? 30 years. Here we are today. The 30 years are over.
No funds. There's no funding.
Okay, we'll do a vote?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I'd just like to see a more formal public input design review during this process so that these concerns can hopefully get met. Steve's concerns about a 10-foot wall being necessary get met. I'm not the designer. I don't know what's possible, but I think there's people that can figure it out.
And again, like as I said before, we have met with anyone who wants to come meet with us about it. Ms. Lopez did come to my office. She did meet with the engineer. We have discussed alternates, and again, I'm open to the temporary sound wall if we can find something that works, something that will meet the goals. The design review, again, for a town property isn't required for what we're doing, but we're trying that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to get input from the public. If there's a problem that we can address now, so it doesn't create problems later, so that the property owners aren't mad at us for the next 15 years, please do. Because I have to live in this town, everybody else, I don't want to do that.
Wouldn't be mad at you anyway, Todd.
Well, when's the next town council meeting?
It is next Thursday.
Next Thursday? Okay, and I'm sure, because it gets voted again, it can be shot down, or if it passes here, but I'm sure there'll be more communication where different design all comes up and changes can be made and everything, so.
What time is the meeting next Thursday?
That's a 7 PM meeting.
7? Okay.
Okay, please vote. Thank you, Terrace.
Aye.
Inter Munoz?
I'm gonna vote, no until, we hear on some design reviews on what the council comes up with pertaining to the wall. I will not vote on a 10-foot wall until we have a design review on the input from the council.
Okay, Sherry Fedor?
Yes, because, I'm sorry, my voice is going. I think that, I do hope this very nice lady used to be 150, but eventually someone else will live in that property and all the others adjacent to this, and they may want a 20-foot wall by that time. I think everybody's been talking about increased tourism, more concerts, more people, more noise. This is not going to go backwards. This is going to become much more intense than it is now. But assuming that there will be room to manipulate the design, correct?
Yes.
Always.
Okay, all right, then I'll vote yes.
David Gunn?
Yes.
Let's vote. Joy Evelyn?
Yes.
And I vote yes also, Matt Mashaw. Motion carries.
Is there a stipulation to continue to work with the community?
Yes, they will before the. Motion carries by 5 votes to 1 vote to accept, approve resolution 2019-05. Okay, make the other motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Motion made by Joy, do I hear a second? Second made by Hank, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion made to adjourn the planning zone meeting, July 3rd, 2019.
I'll see what I can find out. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know. There's gotta be something. Right? Something's just got a little.
Okay.